Welcome to a short presentation on the recreation movement. So, this chapter focuses on recreation, not outdoor recreation. And this slideshow is going to be pretty short because I'd like you to spend your energy watching the pre-made one by a friend of mine at Washington State University. So this is just going to be a little bit of a outline for you about other things in recreation that you might not be aware of. So one thing to think about is for us as outdoor educators, we might think of as recreation as running, hiking, biking, and that's not what other people think. So this is a perspective of recreation from the park and rec side. And this is kind of all the things that are significant. And I'd like you to take a moment, probably pause the video, and just read through this. And kind of look, when you look at it, think about what are the one or two that to me might not really think in my mind like, oh, that's a recreation activity. So pause the video and then come back and we can discuss. Great. So hopefully you paused and had a chance to look at this. This is the 1850s. That's where this timeline starts with gymnastics. And the next thing is sandboxes, which actually is a really significant movement. The Boston Sand Gardens. Playgrounds are important. There's whole organizations dedicated to playgrounds. There's actually a National Recreation Association that manages the infrastructure and building and construction and design of playgrounds. In 1964, a really important report came out, and that report kind of showed people that recreation had a value and was really important. And after that, there's a lot of other organizations that were around. The one that you may see in your career as outdoor educated is the NRPA, National Recreation Park Association. There is a certification process from the NRPA. It is very administrative, but you might see on a job description NERPA certification. And it is something that is more administrative than anything, and you need to have a facility to kind of manage, to oversee, to get that certification. But basically, the overview of this is just a lot that recreation is a lot of different things for different people, and that's important to take away. You do not need to kind of memorize this. I think knowing that the NRPA is an organization is valuable to know, and that recreation looks different for everyone. Here's some really cool photos of New York City with the gymnastic movement. This is actually a sketch, but this is, I believe, Central Park with all of the gymnastics, and people would come around and watch. It's just really different than what we kind of do today. The Boston Sand Garden movement is a really important, and this is kind of getting kids into play, kids into sandboxes, making it a norm. And so this movement was very important in the world of recreation. This is the NRA, the National Recreation Association. And this is some of their literature that they put out. And they're the leaders in recreation. Here's some more photos of gymnastics, of just how important it was. I think this photo reminds me of the old gyms that had rope climbing, but recreation has always been part of schools. And I'm sure you know that often recreation and arts do get cut from schools when schools don't have money. Here are some leaders in education, in recreation, and I want to point out that there's really only one that is going to be important for us, and that's the last one, Stephen Mathers. The others are just names to kind of read through and kind of get an idea of, well, there's like Joseph Lee is the father of the playground movement. That, to me, I wouldn't even realize that there was someone given that title. I think there's a first for everything, but Stephen Mathers was the founding director of the National Park Service and an early supporter of state parks. And he is someone that name will come up again and again and again. So pause this slide. This is our last slide in the presentation. And as I mentioned before, this presentation is short because I'd like you to spend your time listening to what the WSU presentation. I think the WSU presentation is well put together, and there's a lot of key things that you can learn from that. And we will actually talk about WSU's outdoor program again, and we're going to use it as a model for this class. That's it for this short little presentation.